You're listening to South Coast Radio. The news is on the hour, but I have been asked to mention reports of a storm coming in, with heavy rain, high winds, and the chance of power cuts.
I'm questioning my own sanity. I'm seeing faces everywhere.
Are you seeing them now? With me?
So be safe out there and keep a torch handy.
No.
And on and off.
Pareidolia.
And on and off. And on and off. And on and off.
Hi and welcome to the Soho London Independent Film Festival. I am Liz Farah-Hardy and I'm very excited today because I am joined by the very talented Stuart Morris, who is here with his film Pareidolia. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
Not a lot of people know how to say it or what it is.
Yes, I'm going to dive straight in and could you maybe explain
So
what
Pareidolia is basically when you look at an inanimate object and you, like a cloud or a piece of wood, and you see an image in it. So it could be of a face or of a dog, and that's what your mind projects. Someone else might see it and think, well, that's nothing, or may see a different shape, and that's what pareidolia is.
Right.
So it is in the dictionary.
It is actually in there.
It's in the dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, I see stuff and things all the time.
Yeah.
I hope not like in the film, though.
No. This is a bit, yeah.
Can you tell for our audience just a little bit about the film without giving too much away?
So it's about an American lecturer who's moved over to a quaint little village in the English countryside, who sets her students a task for pareidolia, just to go out to take photographs of pareidolia, and she decides to do it as well. But when she's taking pictures, she sees more than just an image, and she feels it's following her around. So it's an entity that ends up, I'm not going to say too much more. Have you seen it?
Of course.
Good.
Yeah,
So
about
you know
3 times now, actually. I'm like,
the
yeah,
end bit.
it's. I tell you what, it really pulled it off. It's a fabulous film. It really is. It's like all the way through. It's got all the proper sort of jumps and scares that are supposed to be in horror films.
And it's all very, I'm not going to show my age too much, but the 80s is my genre of horror. So Halloween, Amityville, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday 13th. I was there in the cinema seeing it in the 80s, and this all stems back to that. There's little homages in the film all about that.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We were talking about this earlier about how that's when all the amazing horror films were done, and it's fabulous because those roots, they worked.
Yeah, there's
didn't
no
they?
CGI or gore or anything.
Yeah.
You don't need that. It's all about the music, the sound effects, and it's got a great soundscape to it.
And the cast.
Yeah. I was the casting director.
I know. I'm very, very impressed with how you've cast it, actually. I mean, we've got to talk about Diane Franklin. How exciting is that?
Well, I've known Diane for 10 years, I think it is. She came over when I had my little Misty Moon gallery behind a pub in South East London, and we did 5 nights of her films and retrospectives.
Oh, wow.
And we've become very good friends, and we've always stayed in contact. And she always said to me, I'd like to do a film with you, because she'd seen how we've been progressing and following Misty Moon and stuff. She said, but no zombies. And I don't ever really do shorts, but if the script is good, I'll do it. So I've worked with quite a few directors, and I said to my wife, I'd like to actually find someone a bit different who could give him a chance. And Aaron Truss,
yes,
from Cucumber Films, he put a film in the understudy into my film festival, the Misty Moon International Film Festival, and it won the Dudley Sutton Award. And she said, do you remember the young guy who put that in? I said, yeah. She said, well, give him a call, see if he'd be interested.
Oh.
So I phoned him up, and straight away, oh, yeah, I can't believe it, I'd love to. And I said, well, my idea is I've got a big chair and mass in front of my Inglenook fireplace. All I want to do is a monologue of Diane just sitting there, just reading a ghost story. And he said, well, I think we can come up with something better than that. And so he spoke to his dad, and nearly 2 years later, this is what we've got, which is better than just a monologue.
Oh my God, yeah. So That was Aidan Truss.
Aidan Truss, his dad.
And Aaron Truss. They wrote it together, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Well, his dad wrote it, and then he script edited on it. Yeah.
Amazing. And how was it when you and Diane read it? What did you think of it?
Yeah, we read the first one, and Diane straight away, because can be a bit of a difficult cookie, because she is still working in Hollywood, still doing some big stuff. She read it and she said, "This is amazing. I've got to do it." And so there were a few tweaks in there. So the character of Gene was meant to be a man,
Right.
and I think because Aaron and Aidan are big Doctor Who fans, they wanted Fraser Hines. I know Fraser quite well. He couldn't do it.
Right.
He was out the country, and I said, "Well, I think it should be turned as a woman, and I know exactly who should play it." And that's where we got Carolyn Pickles, another friend.
And she was perfect for it.
Brilliant.
Absolutely perfect.
And they had only met that morning, and yet the
Really?
on-stage chemistry, literally an hour before they started filming.
That's talented actors, isn't it? Yeah, and good direction. I mean, Aaron's done a fabulous job directing it.
And the DOP was brilliant on it. He was giving him, because this is really the first big thing Aaron's done. He directed the Rob Knox documentary.
Which won here, actually, Best Documentary about 3 years ago.
That's fantastic.
Brilliant
I've
film.
helped him do the Rob Knox Film Festival at the Cinema Museum.
Right.
We did that this year. But also the understudy was good, but it had only 4 actors, and they were like friends in a disused theatre during lockdown in Bromley, I think. So to put on something like this, I think he found it very daunting with the calibre of actors.
Wow, it's really high end, and I mean, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
There
as
is.
well. Yeah, it's done very smoothly.
Thank you.
What do you think was the most challenging thing for making it?
I think really one, it was the funding, trying to get the funding, because
Isn't that always?
well, to start with, when his dad wrote it, I think he wanted to put a school in it and wanted a lot bigger scope to it. And then there was this mortuary scene, and when they told me how much that was going to be, I thought, oh, crikey. So I was going to fund it myself. And then I thought, well, maybe because it's Diane Franklin and Sandy Johnson from the original Halloween, the American fans would love it. So we did a crowdfund, and we got the money for the crowdfund, but then it just went over and over. So I self-funded it as well.
Right.
So that was part of it. And also because when Diane came, we had to make sure that the date in November, we had to film that. If anyone was ill, it still had to go ahead because Diane was only going to be here for 4 days, a week, I think. So she couldn't. It's not like she was in Scotland and could just come down. I mean, she's LA based.
Yep. No, so that's quite a sort of pressure, isn't it? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Misty Moon.
Well, Misty Moon started 15 years ago as a little art and craft fair in our local church hall.
And this is your baby?
Yeah. So I set it up. My wife just started to make some jewellery, and I thought it would be quite a nice little thing to promote her jewellery. And Graham, I think we've done about 6 of these little craft days, and Graham Cole contacted me and said, "Stuart, I've got my autobiography coming out, can I come down?" I said, fine. So he signed his books at the church hall, and then 14 years later he's in the film with us. And then I found a little gallery, or what it was, an old garage that we turned into a gallery behind the Ladywell Tavern in South East London, and we called it the Misty Moon Gallery. And I used to put on a lot of dark art. And through the powers of Facebook, Richard Keel, who was Jaws in the James Bond films, the big bloke with the silver teeth, he contacted me and said, Adrian King from Friday 13th is doing art now, and it's like therapeutic for her because she had some bad experiences. She'd be very interested in showing some of her artwork. So I chatted with her, and she came over with all of her original art.
Wow.
And halfway through the exhibition run, she said, why don't we try and show Friday the 13th? Because the gallery was just like an old, I called it an old coaching house, but it wasn't. But it had that feel of an old log cabin. So we put up 35, 40 tickets, watched Friday the 13th with Adrian King for a £5. Went within an hour.
I bet.
And because of that and the Q&A she did with it, she said, look, I think we've got legs on this. I'm going to co-found. And that's where the Misty Moon Film Society came.
Right.
And in Ladywell, we had Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes, Ken Foray from Dawn of the Dead, Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist, Carolyn Munro, loads and loads there. And you think, well, this is pretty surreal. We had Michael Berryman, after watching The Hills Have Eyes, up in the pub next door singing karaoke. You don't get that at conventions. And then we got a bit too big for the gallery.
Yeah.
And then the pub was going off. It got a new landlord and it wasn't where we were going. So we moved up into London and never really looked back. And we've got the Phoenix Arts Club is our regular venue, and the Cinema Museum is as well.
Amazing.
And we put on cult nights with cult actors and actresses from all these different films and TV.
So you're a little bit connected with the horror world.
So when we go into film, I know in the back of my mind who I could put into it.
Yeah. And I mean, just going back to the casting, is that the first time you've cast, or are you a casting director?
Yeah. So
right.
I've since we started. So I've done 10 short films. The last one, A Hymn for Her, with Linda Marlowe, has won 18 awards worldwide. And Linda Marlowe, she used to she spent most of her career touring with Stephen Burkhoff. She was Stephen Burkhoff's muse, but then she's probably best known for playing Danny Dyer's grandmother. Well, first of all, you thought she was the mother, but then ended up grandmother in EastEnders for 4 years.
Right.
She was Sylvie Carter. And when I was given the script of this, I read it straight away and I knew that was Linda Marlowe. And I sent it to her and she said, "Oh, it's very good, but it's nothing like me." I thought, Linda, it really is like me. So I've got an idea in my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so important because casting is everything. Yeah. And I mean, the casting's exceptional in this.
Well,
really
I've always
is.
said, no matter how good the words are, a script or a story, you need the right actors to bring those words to life.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your hopes for the film?
Well, feature, please give us your money. I think the thing is, the budget was, what we got on IMDb is, when I put it on there, it's a lot slimmer than compared to really what we have spent on it, because I'm still spending out my own money now, bringing Diane over for the cast crew screening and other bits and promotionals.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, if we want, I personally, it'd be nice to do a few festivals, but for me, and I think Aaron would agree as well, it's a calling card. That's why I've done it, to show if this is what we can do on this budget, imagine what we can do with a bigger budget.
Exactly.
And a lot of the reviews have said this should be a longer, in fact they're all saying it, this should be a longer film.
Definitely. And just sort of for our audience, why are film festivals so important?
To get the work out there and for people to see it, because you just never know. Smile started off as a short film in LA, it was shown and the director was there and there was someone from Paramount who picked it up. But you know, for me as a festival director as well, it's I do it to showcase up and coming talent. You know, I don't charge for people to come to the festival or anything. It's a free event. Charge for submissions because you have to through Film Freeway, but then that's all put back into the Cinema Museum, as that's a charity. But
so
that's
you've
what
got
it
a
is.
free space then.
Yeah.
That sounds like heaven.
Yeah, very lucky.
And why the SohoLIFF?
Well, Soho for me is a really great place because I used to, many years ago, I was a police officer in Soho.
Oh, really?
1989 to 1991, I was in Vine Street. So Soho to me is, always loved Soho. Also because we're based round the corner at the Phoenix Arts Club, and I know that the festival is just so diverse, and it's just a real nice vibe about it. I've got a badge for you as well. Aaron Truss will really have a go at me if I don't give you this.
Oh,
your own Pareidolia badge.
Yay! Oh, amazing. Well, I will hold this up. Make sure you come and see this. It's a fabulous film. Pareidolia. The festival starts on the 25th of January and goes to the 28th of January. Make sure you come along and see it. It's awesome. Pareidolia. Don't forget. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Cool.